Sometimes our realtor superpower is hidden. All right, let's see it. This is the real story with Adam and Sherry. I'm Adam Hamalian,
And I'm Sherry Hutchens.
and this is where we talk about all things real estate, mainly for our clients, some for our colleagues, and really because we just like hanging out with each other. All right, Sherry, what's new in the market this week?
I heard someone that I think has a very good grasp on the market say that the summer slowdown came a month early.
Yeah,
And
uh,
I don't know if that's the case for us. We've got two closing this week, and we've got two that we're working on getting ready, but that seems to be the case out and about. I don't know. What do you think?
yeah, I think that's true. And actually, even the two that are closing have been sluggish to get to the finish line.
Yes,
Just
that's a
lots
good.
of little hiccups along the way that aren't unusual, but also seem like they all came up. All the speed bumps showed up all of both these transactions. So
Well, I think part of it is that they're 30-day closings, and we are used to doing these 14-day closings. It's just running around with hair on fire, and all of a sudden, 30 days? You mean I have 30 days to close something? Really?
yeah, yeah.
So,
All right. Well, we'll see how the rest of the summer goes. 4th of July is next week, and then maybe we'll see a little pickup after that as people get done with early vacations and get ready. Can you believe school starts just in a month? It's just kind of crazy.
no, that means we're gonna have traffic again. Darn
Uh,
it.
yeah. Actually, our recording of our podcast got delayed because Sherry got stuck in traffic on the way home. She was literally got stuck by a dumpster fire. Okay, it was a garbage truck on fire, but that's kind of like a moving dumpster. Did did you
Exactly.
actually see did you see the truck on fire?
I never saw it. I got off before I got to Monument, which apparently is where it was burning. So,
All right. Well, glad you're safe.
thank
Well,
you.
we are excited this week. We have a guest and a colleague that we've been in the same company with for a number of years, Leslie Shafton. Leslie, welcome to the Real Story with Adam and Sherry.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Leslie.
Hi.
So we're excited to have Leslie with us today and hear a little bit about her story. She is one of the most fascinating agents we know. In addition to being successful, she has a varied field of experience, which hopefully we'll get to hear a little bit about that. So, Leslie, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate and maybe what you were doing before you got into real estate?
So before I got into real estate, I was actually a clinical psychologist. I have my doctorate in psychology, and I was working in Chicago. We moved from Chicago about 13 years ago, and predominantly I worked doing testing for learning disabilities and working with teens and adolescents. I also worked in a hospital setting with that group. And and then when I came here to California and we started looking for houses, I needed to get relicensed as a psychologist, which I did. And it takes about a year to get relicensed. And we decided we wanted to do a big home remodel. And so we bought a foreclosure at the time. That was like 2008. It was like
Oh,
foreclosure
wow.
central. And our house that we purchased was so bad that they'd even taken the electric out of the house. They
Oh
dug up
no.
all the plants. It was really just a disaster. And then we just completely redid it. So upon closing on that house, so I was studying for the exam, doing this house, two little kids in elementary school. Somebody knocked on the door and they said, "Hey, we want to buy your house." And it was for a couple $100,000 more than we put into it. And I was like, hell yeah, let's sell it. My husband was like, no, let's not sell it. We just spent a year moving around and like we need to live somewhere. And so he's like, do it on the side. So another friend and I started, thinking about that, doing that. I called a couple local agents. And asked for anything that they might have off market. And I ended up getting connected with a local agent. And she was like, "Oh, who's going to represent you?" And I had actually gotten licensed thinking, "Oh, it'll help us with this process." And I said, "Oh, I'm licensed. I'll represent myself on the buy side." And she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm desperate for somebody to help me with open houses. Would you come and help?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I went to the first open house, first week as a real estate agent. I sold a house.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was like, "Wow, this is kinda great." And, at that point, I think I already had gotten a job as a psychologist, was working as a psychologist, just did that a little bit. And then after, like, I don't even know, maybe a year, I was like, "I kinda like this better than being a psychologist." and I
Wow.
moved on.
I can't imagine a job that would have better trained you for real estate
Yeah.
than psychology because I mean that a little bit joking, but also serious. There's so many dynamics in the psychology of both, couples trying to make decisions together for those
Yeah.
people that are buying as a couple, but the negotiation process, but
Mhm.
also just the comforting and anxiety management because there's
Yeah.
such a stressful thing, both to buy
Yeah.
and sell. It's such a
Yeah.
big dollar amount. And so
Yeah.
to have that kind of deep rooted um both skill set, but I know that as a therapist, you had to, have your own supervisor to kind of help you get your
Yeah.
stuff together and hold it together. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, if I can interject real quick, Adam has a background in counseling as well. Not
Mm.
exactly what you were doing, but he made a client cry on Friday, but in a really good way. They were both a little weepy. I bumbled into a question that made the client emotional, and Adam stepped in and said the most amazing thing to him. And they were both a little teary-eyed, and it happens in this business.
Yeah, it does. It
well, it's
does.
really interesting because the seller, I think he's in his early 40s, and he has a challenging family history. And I don't
Yeah,
want to tell his story, but it was one of those ones where somebody could have come out of it very wounded,
Mhm.
and
yeah,
he may have some wounds, I don't know, but his outlook was so um optimistic in the midst of what is really kind of a weird like Sherry and I left scratching our head from the listing appointment, not understanding the family dynamics because there's just multiple people involved with the sale of it, and it's unclear how their current relationships are. They all had previously good relationships, and they actually seem pretty good now, but the journey in between has been so. Yeah, I what I saw was that he was navigating this hard situation really well, and it was to be able
Mhm.
to say, "Gosh, you're doing such a great job," and
Mhm.
um,
yeah.
yeah.
You guys are both really good at that. I made a client cry, and we ended up not getting a listing.
Different situation altogether.
A long time
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, yeah. It's not my strength actually, but it's a
Yeah.
really important thing to have in this business.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
one of the
and then
gifts of this
and
business is just how you get to know somebody
yeah.
Yes.
during, like this challenging time. And it could be
Yeah.
exciting, it could be sad, it could be, like couples
Yeah.
difficulties, it could be divorce, death,
Yeah.
whatever it is, like you're really meeting somebody where they are and serving them, in a way that's hopefully supportive and helpful and adds value and whatever. So like there's all these great things that correlate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have been the death, divorce, and dementia agents this
Yeah.
year. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes.
all happiness, people buying their first home together and moving
Yeah.
in. There's a
Yeah.
lot of heartbreak in this business as well.
Yeah, and frankly, moving to the Bay Area particularly is really stressful and it's
Yeah.
hard to get a house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That
so
shock of
yeah,
pricing shock.
yeah.
Well, for our listeners who are familiar with the Hunger Games, I relate our market to be District 1 and District 2. It is everything is not as it's perceived, but it is like, it's not
That's funny.
it's very hard, right? I mean, it's like the perception of I remember one time saying he wanted to be an adequate professional. I'm like, in the Bay Area, adequate is subpar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to excel here.
Exceptional. Yeah.
Otherwise, people
Yeah.
will think poorly of you, even if you can get a solid A minus type,
Mhm.
grade. But if you're not getting an A plus and open an orphanage in, Central
Mhm.
Africa, you're really a slump, slacking. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
um, well, thinking about Leslie about happier stories, maybe share with us a little bit about some transaction or situation in real estate that was particularly satisfying or brought you pleasure.
Oh, I mean, there's been a lot. It's sort of equal parts, like some amazing stories, some difficult stories, I would say. But honestly, like the best feeling in the world is the match. Like if I had a dream, I would be a matchmaker. I love matchmaking in every capacity, both setting, people up on dates, but also setting people up the right amount of, the right houses. So
Yeah.
I oftentimes, if I can go out with a buyer, for a solid day and maybe look at 10 houses. And if you give me really good feedback, oh, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this, I can really estimate like when we go into a house, this is the right house for them.
Yeah.
Um, and And I love finding that perfect match. So when you get the right house for the right person and it just works out, it's just the best feeling. And similarly, when things don't work out, oftentimes I've seen that it doesn't work out because the next thing is around the corner and it's better than you could have even imagined.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like you definitely feel the like kismet-ness, like in housing.
It's a real
But finding
superpower.
the right house for the right family just feels right. So that
Yeah.
that to me is like you're in the right place at the right time, doing the
Yep.
right thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Totally. We feel the same way. Do you ever have a client like a house that you think isn't right for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that happens all the time. The thing that's always shocking to me is you could show the same house to 10 different people. One person hates it, one person loves it. Other people are like, meh, or like, maybe, or
Yep.
whatever it is. But it's like,
Yep.
there's always something in a house, or like you'll have a couple and it's like, what's most important to you? And the husband says, oh, having a two-story home. I love a two-story home. And then another person is like, oh, I only want a one-person. And you're like, how do I get, a two-story home and a one-story home together? But
Yeah.
like somehow it works out. I'll never forget, I had a client that had a little 4-year-old, and I love this little kid. And every single story home that when he went into, he hated. He was like, ugh, I don't like this house. And then we'd walk into a two-story home and he loved this house. And I said to him, boy, it really seems like you like a two-story house. And he said, when you get a two-story home, you know you've made it. But I'm
The
always thinking
4-year-old
about,
said that.
what would that person say? Like you've made it, like for me, it was like, ooh, I want a hot tub. And it's like, if I get a house with a hot tub one day, I've made it, but it's like, what is that for that given person that's going to make them come into their house and just love it?
Oh, I love that. Did he buy it?
He got a two-story house.
Oh, good.
Well, he
Yeah,
made
they're
it.
very happy there. They live for like 10 years. He's now like a teenager.
Oh my gosh, I love
Really
it.
sad when your life peaks at 4 years old,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, it is. Right. That's true.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So Leslie, one of the things that I love about you is you are dynamic and complex. You have lots of different interests, including the artwork on the wall behind you, which you said is part of your creation. Um, one of the things that I know from our experience about real estate, you just kind of reference it, where there's about hard transactions, something doesn't go right, and yet, as you were just saying, something better lies around the corner. What is it that your other hobbies or other parts of you that help keep you grounded to get through those harder patches
Mhm.
of real estate? Because I mean, if you can't cope with rejection, real
Mhm.
estate's not for you, because we
Yeah.
get rejected all the time.
Yeah.
So what are some things, hobbies or other interests that keep you going?
Yeah. I remember right at the beginning of my real estate career, there's a big agent in our area, and I asked her if she had any advice for me. And she said, give yourself 24 hours to ruminate after something goes wrong. And then she's
Mhm.
like, then you have to walk away from it. Otherwise it'll drive you insane. And I found that that's not possible for me.
Mhm.
So I am a ruminator. I generally try to give myself, like 48 hours to
Mhm.
ruminate on something, but I need to actually occupy my mind with something else, and my hands for that matter, in order to, you know, I don't know, it's just a hard business and we're working literally 7 days a week,
Yep.
nonstop. I'm getting calls in the evening, whatever. Like I just need to distract myself too and do something that like just feels good. So I do a couple things. I do improv. I do a monthly improv group, which has been like the best source of just fun. And I think laughter really is the best medicine. And also community is literally just best for your soul. So that's something I love. And then I also love doing creative stuff like Sherry. So I do encaustic art, which is art with wax. And then I also I have this hobby of I sew guitar straps. So if
Wow.
anybody needs a custom guitar strap, let me know.
I
But
did not know that. You
oh
so
yeah, love it. So
I,
wow.
I might have to order one for my kid Eli.
oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Um,
Perfect.
Now, there was one other hobby in there that I didn't hear you mention. It's kind of creative. Is it true that you have been a competitor in a
Oh,
reality show
yeah.
on the Discover Channel?
Yeah, so I'm also on BattleBots, the TV show. If anybody's seen that, it's a show where 250-pound robots fight one another until essentially they die. And so I'm on Team Scorpios, which is one of two Saw robots on the
That's what
TV
I was
show,
asked.
and
What
it's
kind of
actually
style
sort
it
of one of the
was?
classic battle bots.
Yeah.
And I don't need to go into the very long story about how I got there, but my role on the team is I do the armor. So I do all of the grinding of the metal to make sure that the blade on the front is as sharp and flat as it can be. And then I also assemble the armor. So that's sort of what I do on the team. So
Wow.
yeah, and I've
So
done it for maybe 5 years, but this year they haven't gotten picked up yet. So we don't know if it's coming back.
do you get vibranium from Wakanda or like
Yes, everything's from Wakanda. Yes, Wakanda forever.
That's right. All right, just checking. All right.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's like very expensive sport. It's probably the problem. Not for me personally. Like we have sponsors that help us out with
yeah.
it, but like one motor on our 4-motor robot is like $5,000. So,
Oh my
you
goodness.
get in one fight. It's just like a crazy thing, but it's couldn't be more fun.
That
And we
is
go to
that.
Vegas and do it in August, which is terrible. But
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that sounds so. I mean, of all the things you do, that's the one I'm most jealous of. I mean, I admire all the rest, but like, oh, that would
yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
I don't have the
Actually,
brain
the
for it.
proudest moment of my life was beating Tombstone a couple seasons ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a big
Yeah, if
deal.
you want to YouTube that one, Tombstone versus Scorpios.
Oh,
I just
wow.
gave away the end, but it was amazing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's okay. It's not like it's past knowledge or not new
yeah,
knowledge.
yeah. Nobody on this is
Um,
going to be knowing that.
anything else you want to share with us about real estate or life or maybe you could tell so I started the teaser out by saying that we're superheroes. Maybe you could tell us the story about the superhero. Um, Leslie, again, once among her various other talents, was a speaker at our local women's march a number of years ago, and she gave an amazing speech. And this is where I heard the story, but I'm sure she used it other places.
I think that the story that you're referring to is when I was a little girl, and this is going to totally date me. Underoos were a big thing, and underoos are basically like kind of like a pajama underwear, but they had different designs. So the ones that I loved were Wonder Woman. So
Oh.
I would wear the Wonder Woman underoos all the time, run around in them, run around our neighborhood in them. I'm from Illinois, which there, like the culture is really like your block is your family. So we would be outside playing Wonder Woman, running around. And one day, this little boy in our neighborhood, my sister and I were chasing each other in our underoos, and he came up to us and said, "You're not Wonder Woman. What are you doing? You're not Wonder Woman." And in my head at that time, I really believed I was Wonder Woman. Like I felt like I could do anything. And I basically started to cry and I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm
Oh,
Wonder Woman. I can do anything." And he was like, "You're just a stupid girl." And
Oh.
I went home and I took off my underoos, and it was really devastating for me. And I do feel like at that point I sort of settled in just to being like, an average kid, and, feeling self-conscious, and, maybe not wanting to be too loud, not wanting to raise my hand. Um, and
Oh.
then at some point, like I started getting that back. And I think that's part of what I love about improv is there's this sort of like yes and philosophy to it, that it's like, what else can I do? And for me, it's like, I believe in myself, like I know that I think that for me as an agent, like the point that I knew, okay, I'm going to make it in this industry is when I would go into a listing appointment or meeting a new buyer or whatever, I wouldn't go in with the desperation of, "Oh my God, you've got to hire me." It was the knowing of, if you hire me, you're lucky because I am Wonder Woman. I'm going to be the best agent that you're ever going to meet. And I'm your agent for life, like anyways.
Oh.
So that's how I sort of go into the world is like, we all have strengths. And, like I want to put my best foot forward and sort of be the best person I can be. And I'm not like saving the world, but, I really am going to give everything my full effort.
Oh, I love that story.
the it's such a rich story, both, I mean, like so many fronts, obviously the empowerment of women and as a dad of a daughters, just, hoping that they see themselves as um full participants in our culture by who they've been made to be, and not being reliant on other people's affirmations, although other people's affirmations is really nice.
Yeah.
And
Really, yeah.
so I love that part of it. I love how you use it as a way to take take yourself into a listing appointment with confidence that you are bringing something that's valuable to that client, and they would be foolish not to hire you. One of the
And
things that,
lucky to hire you.
yeah, and
Yeah,
they do hire
totally.
you.
And if they don't hire me, like it's okay because every single person on this planet has that amazing thing about themselves.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not looking for your amazing thing. Maybe they're looking for something else. And that's
Yeah.
great. Like there should be a match, So
Yeah.
to me, that's where the matchmaker comes in, is like, I want my match to match your, and if it doesn't, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
there's somebody else that will match.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
One of,
that.
one of our common sayings is don't have commission breath. And
Yeah.
I think that when you walk in with that confidence, it's like having, an Altoid where people don't smell the
Mhm.
commission breath, because we want to get paid for what we do.
Yeah.
But when we walk into those appointments with buyers and sellers with the confidence that we're not there primarily to make a paycheck. We're there to give that person what they need
Yeah.
from us as a real estate professional. And when we're confident that we're doing that in their best interest,
Mhm.
it's empowering. Like it like builds on
Mhm.
itself, right? You feel stronger about who you are as a contributor,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
when you walk in weekly, you're less likely to get the transaction if you're doing it purely for money, because the person's like, that feels inauthentic to me. You're not able to
Totally.
make that real connection.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you want somebody to walk away at the end of the transaction feeling like the value is there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
so glad that I hired these
Yeah.
agents
Yeah.
because, they really exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
almost better than the commission.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. Yeah.
Sherry, how about you got the speed round questions for us?
Leslie, are you ready for the speed round?
Sure.
All right. So if you weren't a real estate professional, what would you like to be?
Ooh, I would be like to be a kayak guide.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. What nonfiction book have you read more than once?
Ooh, maybe Tuesdays with Maury.
Oh,
Oh,
I love
yeah.
that
Oh
book.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a great book. Okay, how about This Old House or Property Brothers?
Oh, probably This Old House.
Yeah,
To
that's
date
mine too.
myself.
Yeah, I love that. Those
Yeah.
guys are cute, but I love This Old
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
Martha Stewart or Joanna Gaines?
Oh, Joanna Gaines, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Martha got kind of funky when she started hanging out
Yeah.
with Snoop Dogg, don't you think?
When
She
when
might
you
have
say
passed
funky,
her,
there's so many
expiration
things
date,
about
but
the word
whatever.
funky there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's a, rated PG podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll stay
Although
with
I'm sick of
funky.
Modern Farmhouse, just to get that out there. Sorry for
Yeah.
offending anybody, but like I am over that phase. I'm ready for the next one to come on.
Yeah.
Well, especially because so many things that are called modern farmhouse are not farmhouses.
Yeah, totally. No. Yeah, I agree.
So that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
What are three things that are always in your trunk?
Oh, in my trunk. I always have a Saint Joseph in my trunk,
Oh,
which is
that's fun.
ironic because I'm Jewish. I do
Exactly.
plant them at every house because I'm very superstitious.
See,
I always
Adam.
have a lockbox, and I always have in my back water bottles.
Okay, good. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Fireplace or fire pit?
Fire pit,
Yeah. Granite or quartz?
quartz.
Home Depot or Lowe's?
Ooh. Okay, I have different things at each one that I like to get. So if I'm doing lighting, Lowe's, but
Oh,
everything else Home Depot.
Oh,
all
I
right.
totally relate to that. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
didn't think
Yep.
about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's true,
Yep.
right? Better lighting
Yeah.
at Lowe's for sure.
Yeah.
Pool or hot tub?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, it's like 100 degrees today, so maybe pool today, but generally hot tub.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see, DIY or handyman?
Handyman. Handyman.
Okay,
I'm
last
lame. I
one.
can't do anything like that. That's not my superpower.
Adam is my handyman, so
Oh.
I'm pretty handy though. All right, last one, Zillow or Redfin?
Oh, okay. That's a good one too. I would say Redfin, I do like their platform better. But Zillow, maybe I like their estimates better.
All
So,
right.
although my secret thing for all you listeners is if you want the best estimate, and this is not whatever hard science, if you take the two estimates and then you do the in between the two estimates, and then you add 5% either way, that's your range.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh. That. Okay, good. I'm glad
Yeah.
I have
That's not how I
started.
do it. Like I do comps and everything like that, but if you want just quick and dirty, that's a good way to do it.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Did
Thank
you
you.
see that one of those two sites is publishing buyer commission? Did you notice? I think it's Redfin
No.
started doing that, but it's going to have
Oh.
to go away here in another month anyway.
Oh my gosh. Talk
Interesting.
about another podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Leslie,
whole
thank
nother
you so
podcast.
much for joining us this week. It was very fun to chat with you. I
Yeah,
hope you
thanks
had
for
a good
having me.
time. And
We
for the
enjoyed
rest,
it so much.
for the rest of you, if you liked it, be sure to like or subscribe. We will put Leslie's contact in the footnotes so you can get a contact with her if you'd like. She does work for our same brokerage, so we're not necessarily competitive with her, but we're happy to share her story. So
Yes.
the real
Thanks for having
story
me.
this week. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.